Good afternoon to you. I'm Stacey Ann Providence. C News is live. Topping the news at this time, 24 people who found themselves stranded at the Caura River were rescued on Tuesday night. Fire officers were alerted to the groups of people stranded by the river at around 4 p.m. Now, several groups of people had gone to a river to lime, including one family who came to throw a surprise birthday party, but the heavy rains made the river swell to the point that they were left marooned on a mini island. Now, some among the group had even accepted that they may have had to spend the night, as officers themselves had difficulty getting rescue lines to them. The officers, however, were in it for the long haul and were able to bring them to safety. No injuries were reported. And on a far more grim note, one woman is dead and a man was seriously injured after a domestic incident turned violent in Aruca on Tuesday evening. According to reports, at around 6 p.m., an argument between a man and a woman outside their home at 5 Rivers, Aruca, became heated in the worst way as a flammable liquid was introduced. Both were reportedly lit on fire, and the woman was seen running into her nearby home, which soon also became engulfed in flames. The woman, identified as Anika LaRose, died while the man was taken to hospital with second-degree burns. Police have said they are treating the investigation as a homicide. And on to politics now. Last evening, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and Opposition Leader Caura River met to discuss issues of national importance. And both described the meeting as fruitful. And here's Ian Wason giving us a recap of what the Prime Minister had to say.
Among the items discussed in Tuesday's meeting was campaign finance. The Prime Minister told the national community the issue will be addressed before the next general elections. The opposition leader, she brought up the issue of the Couva Hospital. The Prime Minister assured the opposition leader that the Couva Hospital's not opening at this time has nothing to do with any political vindictiveness. However, there is some urgency to open the Couva Hospital, especially as the Prime Minister announced that part of the Port of Spain General Hospital has to be rebuilt.
Which is called the Central Block, I think it's called, is structurally unsound and unsafe and is open to collapse in the event of an earthquake. And that block houses 400 beds. And that being the case, notwithstanding whatever other challenges the government of Trinidad and Tobago might face, we have to focus our attention on this.
The Prime Minister added the committee appointed to make recommendations on the Couva Hospital had given a preliminary report that may change the government's position on the use of the hospital. He said he was advised that issues within the JLSC is a legislative one that can amend the Summary Courts and the Preliminary Inquiries Act.
The opposition leader made it quite clear that the opposition is not prepared to support this approach because they do not believe that that approach is sound and there will be more problems created than solved because people who are affected have already begun to challenge the situation.
There were agreements concerning self-rule for Tobago and the issue of jobs. Ian Wason, C News.
Opposition leader Caura River also said the meeting went well. She spoke at her office following the conclusion of the Prime Minister's press conference.
I think the meeting was a good first meeting. There's the undertaking by the Prime Minister for future meetings. We stand as the loyal opposition of Trinidad and Tobago, fully able and willing to proffer advice, should advice be sought, which is what I tried to do today in terms of advice being given to government.
The opposition leader, however, explained she was a bit concerned by the developments surrounding the Couva Children's Hospital and news that the main block of the Port of Spain General Hospital may have to be taken down.
I raised the Couva Children's Hospital towards the end of our meeting, and I was shocked to hear, because I think all of us believed that they were going to engage in a private-public partnership, and I was taken aback when the Honourable Prime Minister said that that had fallen through. I don't know how 400 patients, so there's going to be further cause for distress in the health sector should that become necessary, because when that block is taken down, I don't know how long it will take. Prime Minister said they will try to find the resources to build the block up as fast as possible, but we know what that is like in the public service.
This is a CNews Live report at noon. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest news on our website at ctvtt.com, or you can check us out on Facebook and Twitter at CNews Live. Residents of Upper Moncoko Road, Pitti Valley are worried that if there is more heavy rainfall, then their homes will continue to be flooded out and there will be more landslips. CNews visited the area today and saw this landslip in the area, which has residents who live nearby concerned. This resident, who has been living in the area for over 50 years, said the situation is becoming unbearable and it has been ongoing for far too long.
Every time the rainfall with that magnitude, water always coming in the yard, into the garage, into the washroom. I lost fridge, I lost stove over the years. And I find that we're not getting no help from nobody. Every time the rainfall, it comes into the yard. I get sandbag to put in front, and nobody seems to be helping me up here.
Now, up until news time, workers from the Diego Martin Regional Corporation were removing the debris. Well, Tropical Storm Don is no longer a tropical storm as it was downgraded to a tropical wave late on Tuesday. Trinidad may not have been directly impacted by Don, but heavy rains were seen across the country here. And here are some images. This is the Maraval River along the Saddle Road near Andalusia. And flash flooding was also seen in Diego Martin along the highway near Victoria Gardens. The floodwaters raged along the Lopino River, and there was also flooding in Tableland. Along the North Coast Road, a land slippage blocked the roadway to Maracas Beach. The landslide caused the roadway to become impassable. However, it was attended to by the Ministry of Works officials, and there was traffic gridlock into and out of Port of Spain from as early as 2 o'clock yesterday. This was exacerbated by a 3-car smash-up on the eastbound lane of the Churchill-Roosevelt Highway. And we have Ian Wallace now on the line to give us an update on the weather following Tropical Storm Don's downgrade. What can we expect, Ian?
Hello, good afternoon. Yes, Tropical Storm Don is no more, and it's no longer a threat to Trinidad and Tobago as it broke down into a trough on 11 p.m. on Tuesday night. But the next few hours, there's still some moisture trailing behind the Don, so the possibility of afternoon showers, and some of those turning heavier, especially during the heat of the afternoon. But overall, there will be a settling of conditions as we go later on this afternoon and going into the evening. So in terms of the last 24 hours, it has been quite wet in Trinidad. About 35 millimeters recorded at Piarco over the last 24 hours from 8 a.m. yesterday to 8 a.m. this morning. But obviously the majority of that was falling in the middle part of the day. For example, in Pinal, they got 29 millimeters at 1 p.m. on it yesterday. Now that Don, the remnants of Don is over the southeastern Caribbean, it's along the Venezuelan coastline, but it will still likely trouble them with a possibility of street or flash flooding and landslides along the hillier coastlines of Venezuela. And then it will likely merge with a fast-moving tropical wave, which is now going through the Dominican Republic and Haiti. So basically, it's remnants of Don will still cause issues further out towards the Central Caribbean, especially along the Venezuelan coastline. But looking ahead, there's yet another low-pressure center out in the Atlantic, midway between the Cape Verde Islands, which is just off of Africa, and the Caribbean. And it is this low is moving northwest and may develop gradually during the next few days. So as we go through the next week, we'll be looking at that system to see if it has any chance of development. Right now, it's at a low chance, but it is moving northwest. So it is on its present track, moving well to the north of the islands if it continues to do so. But for us here in Trinidad and Tobago, we should be seeing settling of conditions by most areas through nightfall, but still a few afternoon showers could still turn heavy during the heat of the day. So that's how the weather is looking, Stacey Ann.
Thank you so much, Ian, there for that update. In some other news now, the arrival of the Cabo Star was delayed once again. The vessel was expected to arrive at midnight on Tuesday, but however was apparently delayed again by inclement weather. The boat is said to be arriving today. CNews understands that the contract for the Trinity Transporter, the barge which has been used to carry goods to Tobago since the departure of the Superfast Galicia in April, is to expire today, making the arrival of the Cabo Star especially imperative. On another note, concerning the sea bridge, sailings are set to resume today with the noon sailing of the TNT Express. Sailings were cancelled on Tuesday amid concerns stemming out of weather patterns as a result of Tropical Storm Don. Hundreds of workers attached to the University of Trinidad and Tobago marched outside the Ministry of Labor's Duke Street office this morning. The workers, who number in the hundreds, are frustrated by the lack of permanency and are hoping the ministry will intervene in the matter. The workers are being supported by the Oilfield Workers Trade Union in their protest. We go back to politics now, where the Prime Minister and the opposition leader may have called their meeting fruitful, but they did not agree on certain matters, one of them the Integrity Commission. Now, the Prime Minister once again stated that this lack of faith in the body.
So raised with the opposition leader my view and the widespread view that the Integrity Commission has lost the confidence of the national population, and the history would show that what it was intended to do, which is in furtherance of an improvement in matters of integrity and ethics in Trinidad and Tobago, have not been and are not being addressed.
But the opposition leader did not share this view.
He said that the charade of filing forms and so on doesn't integrity make, and therefore wanted some kind of intervention with respect to Integrity Commission. Again, I said Law Reform Commission, we can see models elsewhere, and we can strengthen it. But I do not share the view that there is a total loss of confidence in the Integrity Commission.
The Prime Minister and the opposition leader were also unable to find an agreement on matters concerning the Judicial and Legal Service Commission and the controversy surrounding Marcia Ayres Caesar. Speaking at the press conference on Tuesday afternoon, the Prime Minister said he did put forward a proposal involving drafting legislation concerning the situation.
The Attorney General had come to me with proposals coming from the DPP indicating that the solution to that problem that now exists could be legislative, and there could be a requirement for the Parliament to meet and legislate amendments to the Summary Courts Act.
The opposition leader explained that she did not believe that the matter should be handled in that way and pointed to rulings which came out of the Section 34 fiasco.
We did not get an agreement with respect to whether the government would bring legislation to the Parliament or not. I made it very clear, because I had consulted with my members on that issue, because we suspected the Prime Minister would want to discuss that, and we took the view, and I repeated that view, that we would not support legislative intervention at this time.
The opposition leader, however, urged the Prime Minister to act on the matter involving Marcia Ayres Caesar and the judiciary using the current clauses on the ledger. She explained that the dispute seriously threatened the judiciary.
The debacle that occurred recently with the Marcia Caesar Ayres and the JLSC is one that has brought the administration of justice at the lowest point it has ever been in Trinidad and Tobago. And therefore we cannot just move on as though nothing has happened.
469 vehicles have been reported stolen for the period January to July of this year. This was revealed by Sergeant Christopher Swamber during the weekly police press briefing. In 2016, 342 vehicles were reported stolen over the same time period, marking a 16% increase. Sergeant Swamber said Nissan motor vehicles continue to be the most popular choice for car thieves in Trinidad and Tobago. Sergeant Swamber explained that many vehicles are stolen to be used to commit additional crimes such as abductions and robberies. And Public Information Officer for the TTPS, ASP Michael Pearce, says that the service would welcome any move to ensure that the substantive police commissioner is appointed. Following the meeting between the Prime Minister and the opposition leader, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said they were looking at possible changes concerning the appointment of the police chief.
I believe that we all would welcome a change in the system, and we would welcome seeing the Commissioner of Police, the acting commissioner, appointed to the post in full.
The body of a man found in Carlson Field in central Trinidad on Tuesday morning has been identified. 47-year-old Sheldon Mitchell was found on the side of Roosevelt Avenue in a clearing. His body bore several gunshot wounds. Police have no motive for the incident at this time. And the funeral service for soca artist Devon Matthews will be held at the Arima Velodrome on Monday, July 24th at noon. The 36-year-old entertainer died of heart failure on Sunday morning. Now, tributes continue to pour in for Devon Matthews, who has been described as a true patriot and lover of local music. And he's back. Former women's national coach and technical director Jamal Shabazz takes over the women's programs with immediate effect. He takes over just days after we told you, and now confirmed by the TTFA in a release that the Italian experiment is over with the termination of their contracts with the TTFA by coaches Carolina Morace and Nicola Williams. All the TTFA would say was that every effort was made to resolve whatever perceived issues the coaches had, which eventually led to their departure from the job. As a result, Shabazz, who recently returned to the sidelines with his home club Mova Caledonia in the TT Pro League, will drive the various programs, including the senior national women's team in their quest for World Cup qualification in France 2019 and the national under-20 program, which will host the CONCACAF final round of World Cup qualification early next year. A new head coach will be appointed to lead the women's under-17 program, which is seeking qualification to next year's CONCACAF Championships, which qualifies teams to the World Cup finals in Colombia in 2019. National football coach Dennis Lawrence is keen to give every player with a TNT passport a chance to prove himself and assist the national program going forward. Case in point was the recent inclusion of Super League hitman at FC Santa Rosa, Karen Clark, who already has 7 goals to his credit so far this season, just one behind leader Colin Hughes of Guaya United.
About the boy that I know for sure is that he knows how to finish. He's a natural goal scorer. I've got more questions in my head in terms of physicality, because it's different when you work in the Super League, training 3 days a week. It's not ideal. But then I thought to myself, the only way I can answer these questions is we've got the Ecuador friendly. The only way I would know, because there's a position on the football pitch we need to improve on. We need to improve in the goal scoring aspect. I thought the opportunity has come. We need to give him a try, and this is the best place to do it. And I think I'm hoping that the boy does well.
Lawrence elaborated by giving an understanding of how things work around him and what he wants to see happen with local football, so everyone has a fair chance to impress.
I've got a concept that if you're good enough, in most cases, the top league is always the league that the best players play in. You do find the rare ones that play in another level that might be able to cope. So it's an open door for all players. And as I said before, the idea about Kieran coming in is he's got something that we're looking for at this moment in time. It's an international friendly. It gives us the opportunity to work with Kieran and see whether or not he'll be able to compete at this level. I think he's got the ability. The questions that I've got in my head is probably be answered very soon. So that's the idea.
Well, that's it for sport. And that's your C News report at noon. Remember, for up-to-date and breaking news throughout the day, visit the C News website at ctvtt.com. I'm Stacey Ann Providence. Have yourself a good afternoon.